wants to introduce Joe from the machine so you can see what his equipment's all about. We'll start with the guitars.
Before we do that, I just want to say this is Ben Kelly here. He's our stage guy and sets all this stuff up because I don't know how to. This guitar is sort of a copy of a Dave Gilmour Stratocaster the Fender started selling about 3 or 4 years ago. What we did was, I got one, and I loved the way it sounded, but I didn't like the way it played. I like the frets a little bigger, and so what we did was I got this neck off an old Strat of mine, and Ryan, the bass player in the machine, who I'm sure you guys know, we took the Gilmour Strat apart and bought all the parts that were in it, just copies of everything was in it. We bought a body, and Ryan put together a copy of the David Gilmour Strat for me with a neck that I like, and that's my main guitar, and I love it a lot. Ryan did an awesome job, and the one difference between this and the Dave Gilmour, if you can see here, these little wires here, this is the acoustic bridge. If you've seen the band, you know I can get an acoustic guitar sound or an electric guitar sound. And the way that works is, this is a master volume for the electric guitar here. This is a master tone control for the electric guitar. And this is the acoustic guitar volume, which comes from this pickup here. And you'll see, if I pull this out, you'll see that's a stereo jack. So what happens is there's actually two outputs coming out of it. There's the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar. And later on in this cable, which we'll get to, it splits, it Ys out, and the electric guitar sound goes one place and the acoustic guitar sound goes to another place. And so from this guitar I can have the electric or the acoustic, or both of them together, any blend I want. And that's the main guitar. I use that 90% of the time. Good. This is the other main guitar, which Ryan also built for me. This was a Strat that I had that I liked a lot, and we put the Fishman acoustic bridge on it, and it's actually wired the same way with a master volume, a master tone, and the acoustic volume. The difference is that this has EMG pickups, which Dave Gilmour was using in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. He was using this, and this guitar has that sound of that music from that era. They're active pickups, so there's a battery in here. That's what this switch is. It turns the battery on and off. So this guitar is used primarily for any Floyd music from the Division Bell, Momentary Lapse era. This too was made up of a random neck that I like and a random body that I like. And we leave the back covers off because I like banging on it when we're making noise, and you hear the springs rattle. And there's no, like this one too, they usually put a piece of foam in here to stop the springs from resonating, but I like the way that sounds when you bang on it.
Nice.
I've broken guitars in half before banging on them. Wow. But probably not these two. I'm not going to do that. This is the amplifier. I believe it's about a mid-90s Marshall JCM 900. And it doesn't say Marshall on it because they didn't give it to me. If they gave it to me, I would have left the name on, but they're not going to give me one. And the cabinet is the same. It's a Marshall 1960 cabinet. But I've had a ton of these heads, and this particular one has just has a really sweet sound to it. I really like it a lot. And the way I get my tone is I only use one channel on the amp. And it's set pretty clean, but if I bang the strings hard, it starts to break up a little. And then I get all my sounds off of that tone. So I don't switch channels. It's just the cleaner channel of the two. This is just, it's pretty clean. Hit it hard, it starts to break up a little bit, and that you have to find that exact sound on it. And that's just a regular 412 cabinet. Right now it's probably a 312 cabinet because I think one of them's blown up. But that's a custom 312 Marshall cabinet, very hard to find. In case something happens with the Marshall, because it's old and delicate and not made well, but sounds awesome, we have the backup amp in case the Marshall goes down, which is a Soldano SLO 100. That is really, really old. Mike Soldano made that when he first started his company, and it has the preamp section on that is a little different than an ordinary SLO. It's a tiny bit cleaner, which if you know this amp, being a little cleaner, it's still really dirty. But that's a great, great sounding amp. But for this music right now, the Marshall's my main thing, and the Soldano we use in case it blows up during the show, which has happened before.
All right, what's going on with this rack here?
This is just a power conditioner where everything gets its power from there's only, coming out of the back of this rack is one power plug that plugs in, and everything derives its power from this, and it regulates the voltage. You can see right here. So we get a nice constant 112, 115 all night long. Because with tube amps, it's very important. The voltage drops, the amp sounds different. So this is, you always know what's going on here. Then there's a Korg tuner right underneath that. This is where this input here is where the acoustic part of the guitar goes to. And this is a preamp, and then this goes directly to the front of house PA system. And that's what you hear if you're at the show and you hear me playing acoustic guitar. Right below that is the TC Electronics G-Force, which I use primarily for all the delays and reverbs. I think it's one of the best sounding digital units that you can get. I've had it for a really long time. I've had every freaking different kind of thing you can imagine, and to me this sounds the best. Let's look at the pedals. These are all the pedals I use. This is an old Ibanez Tube Screamer. It's not old enough that it's worth $500, but it's pretty old, and it sounds really good. This is a Boss Super Overdrive. I use this for a gentle overdriven sound, more crunchy rhythm sound, and I use this for a more sustained leady sound that Dave uses a big muff for, but I find this is a little cleaner and better suited for my rig. This is a really old Boss compressor. I like the ones with 3 knobs better than the ones with 4 knobs. It's actually off. Let's turn that on. This is Albert Einstein, because I like him. This is an old Metal Zone, which I use on a few songs. This gets that really heavy, overdriven sound at the beginning of Sorrow. And where else do I use? Maybe on One of These Days I use it, but that's about it. This is that a Dunlop? Is that what that is? I don't know what it is. It's a Univibe. I don't know who makes it. Dunlop maybe. And this simulates the old rotary speakers, which Dave used a lot. He used the real rotary sim, but we can't really carry that around. But this does a pretty good job at simulating that. This pedal here is an old Boss EQ, and you can see it has a mid-range boost setting. And I only use this on Pigs, because the guitar sound on that has this kind of curve to it. So that's what we use that. This is my current phase shifter, which is Electro Harmonix, and Electric Mistress Electro Harmonix flanger, which is what Dave used. This pedal board is from an old Bradshaw Rockshon switching system that came out in the mid-'80s. And you can see this gray cable goes to the back of this rack unit where all the pedals are in. The MJP-18 is made by Bob Bradshaw at Custom Audio Electronics. And Bob is one of the premier builders of pedal boards and pedal control systems. And once that's all wired up and all the pedals are on, I can control the whole system from here. We could have a preset that is any combination of pedals and any MIDI settings that I want. So for example, like this part of Shine On You Crazy Diamond where he goes, what I need the flanger on, I need the chorus on, I need a particular reverb and a particular echo. And that, you see it says Shine On, is right here on this button. When I engage this button, that's everything changes for me on one button. So I don't have to switch a million things at once. And all the songs are in there. Then we make the set list, and then I go to another mode, and I take each song on the set list, grab it from where it is, and put it in a new memory. So now all the songs in the set list are exactly in the order we're going to do. This is just the master volume right here. So when I want to tune the guitar, I just take that off. So now the signal's in the tuner. This switch right here controls whether this guitar, my guitar I'm playing, is active. And if I hit this, then the lap steel here will be activated. Then go back and forth between the two guitars. This is a Airline lap steel. It's actually, the reason I got this was because it has a humbucking pickup on it. It's quieter than a single coil pickup. I think, honestly, it's pretty ugly, but I think it sounds pretty good. And we have the talk box here, which, as you can see, these two wires here. This talk box is actually inserted in between the Marshall head and the Marshall cabinet. So right now, the head and the cabinet are hooked, it just routes the signal through it. When I hit this button, it's going to route the guitar signal from the head to a driver in this box and out of this tube. So the sound, instead of coming out of the cabinet, is going to come out of this tube. And it sounds brutally horrible. But the cool thing is when you put your mouth on it.
Thanks for watching, and tune in a few weeks. We'll have another band member's gear.